بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين.
Interpretation of the Holy Quran.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. With the assistance of Allah, we begin a brief commentary of Quran. We reach to chapter An-Nisa, the fourth chapter of Quran, which is revealed in Medina. It has 176 verses. Please listen to verse 15.
واللاتي يأتين الفاحشة من نسائكم فاستشهدوا عليهن أربعة منكم فإن شهدوا فأمسكوهن في البيوت حتى يتوفاهن الموت أو يجعل الله لهن سبيلا.
And as for those who are guilty of an indecency from among your women, call to witnesses against them 4 witnesses from among you. Then if they bear witnesses, confine them to the houses until death takes them away, or Allah opens some way for them. In previous section we talked about this verse that Allah is talking to the men regarding to those women, to their wives, if, God forbid, they commit adultery. Allah says, if you want to punish your wives, you should call 4 witnesses, 4 men who are just, who are men and just, who has seen everything. Not only for men and women to be together for some time, to talk together, chat together, even sleep together is not enough. They should see everything and they should testify that they have seen everything in detail. Then, if they testify, they will be punished. Of course, Allah says the punishment of such a woman is to keep them at home until they die, until death. Definitely at the moment, the punishment in Islam is not to keep them at home. But in that time, before Islam, we have narration that before Islam, women who were committing adultery while they had a husband, it was to keep them home. And at the beginning, Islam accepted for a short time, and the verse of Quran says, until Allah will send a new rule. And after some time, of course, Allah has changed it. From this verse, we understand that Allah wants from the women's side, from one side, Allah wants to take very, very difficult, because Allah says keep them home as an imprisonment for life, because Allah doesn't want such a women to come to the society, not to keep them in a public prison, because usually in public prison people or prisoners will learn something terrible from the others. Those who have gone to prisons, at the beginning they knew very little, but when they come out of prison, because each person will teach the other person, they will learn a lot. So in general, we should say public prison is not good. And Allah doesn't want that such a women to come to the society to bring problems for the society. So Allah says, keep them home. Don't allow them to marry, and don't allow them to be in a public presence. Of course, it was for a short time until Allah will send another rule for the punishment for such a woman, as we believe this is stoning to death. Of course, stoning to death, which is a raj, is not for the people, for the women who have committed adultery before the new rule. Because new rules is for the women who are going to commit adultery in future. But for those who have committed adultery before, this is a good solution for them, because when the God will send and Prophet will say something new, it means the punishment that was decided before, it will be removed, and new punishment is for those people who are going to commit adultery in future. So this is a good solution for them. And of course, we have new rules, and after that, which is stoning to death for those who have husband. And again, I emphasize, Islam has put certain rules for proving such things that almost impossible to prove it. Stoning to death is so difficult and very, very harsh, but we should think about it, that how it can be proved. How it is possible that 4 men who are just, who are very careful not to commit commit a sin, they will see as the accident men and women by their eyes in front of them, they are committing adultery and they do everything. How it is possible? And we said, even if 2 people will come and they say, our friends are coming after 2-3 hours, these 2 should be punished, and their friends who are coming in future after a few hours, they will be punished too, because of false accusation. So we will see that in Islam is very, very difficult to prove such a thing, but if it is proved, yes, the punishment is at the moment is a rajm, it's stoning to death, but in that time at the beginning of Islam was to keep the women at home until the new rule will come. We have understood that Allah wants to keep the dignity for the women, for the society, for the family. And because of that, Allah says, keep them home. Don't allow them to come in public. Don't keep them in public presence, because it will affect the others. And new rule, Islam says, of course, when a person commits adultery and is not muhsan or muhsana, it means the husband doesn't have wife or the wife doesn't have husband. In chapter Nur, verse 2, Allah says, الزانية والزاني فاجلدوا كل واحد منهما مئة جلدة. Those who commit adultery, men and women, each person should be beaten with 100 lashes. Allah says, فَإِن شَهِدُوا. فَإِن شَهِدُوا, it means if they testify. We should understand that even if 4 people have seen, it's not necessary to testify. Even if somebody asks, have you seen it, or come and testify, it's not necessary to do that. Plus, we know that if 3 of them will go and 1 person for any reason come later on, all of them should be beaten. It means Allah is very strict regarding to witnesses. Allah doesn't want to encourage them to testify, and it is not necessary to testify. Then when Allah says, فَأَمْسِكُوهُنَّ فِي الْبُيُوتِ, keep them at home, don't allow them to go out, keep them until new rule is coming. After some time, as we said, Allah has changed the rule and new rule came, either 100 lashes or rajm, stoning to death for those who are committing adultery with muhsin or muhsana. It means while they have husband and or their wife. And it is good to know that even if a person has a wife and commits adultery, but his wife was sick, his wife was not around, or she was around, but she was not talking to her husband. In all these circumstances, still nobody will be punished to death. There is no stoning to death. When we say muhsin or muhsana has wife or husband, it means they are okay, they are together, they have facilities, they can sleep together, and there is no any problem. Then they will go and find another person to commit adultery. Otherwise, there is no such a punishment in Islam. Thank you very much for watching. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.